first step for making is a curry chicken is delivery. The first ingredient is raw chicken. Their potential hazard growth of bacteria owing to high temperature. For the control measure, check reserving measure should not be more than 5 degrees Celsius. For the CP or CCP, this ingredient is CCP. Risk of such pathogen as Salmonella. Reserving at temperature above 5 degrees Celsius is a critical factor that can result in bacterial growth that is irreversible later. Their corrective action if standards are not met, reject the raw chicken delivery. The second ingredient is vegetable such as onion, garlic, ginger, and potato. Their potential hazard contamination of soil by bacteria. For the control measure, examine vegetable with regard to their cleanliness and freshness. For this ingredient, CCP or CP, this is CP. Contamination could be checked by inspection, washing, and preparation with additional control enforced at the later stage. The corrective action if standards are not met, reject the vegetable. The third product is bottle box ingredient, such as the coconut milk and cooking oil. Their potential hazard, broken it is contaminated because of leakage. Their control measure, check container condition, make sure that it is not dented, leaking and swollen. CP, those ingredients are bottle or box because they have exposed them to risk of damage or spoiled containers which can be reviewed visually and dealt with before being utilized. Corrective action if standards are not met, reject the product. The last ingredient is dry ingredient, such as a curry powder, salt, and sugar. Potential hazard in insert are some examples of foreign bodies. Their control measure, check packaging, either it clean or intact. CP or CCP for this product is CP. Primary hazard are physical contaminants. They may identify visually and managed by refusing the effect product. Corrective action if standards are not met, reject the dry ingredient delivery.
For the second step, which is storage, we focus on proper ingredient storage to prevent contamination and ensure food safety. First, for raw chicken, the main hazard is harmful bacteria such as Salmonella and E. coli. Therefore, it must be stored in a clean, covered container in the refrigerator at below 4 Celsius degree. If the chicken shows signs of spoilage, such as bad smell or slimy texture, it should be discarded immediately. Next, vegetables such as onion, garlic, ginger, and potato should be stored at suitable temperatures to avoid contamination and toxin formation, especially in potatoes. Any spoiled or contaminated vegetables must be removed immediately. For bottle or box ingredients such as coconut milk and cooking oil, they should be stored in a cool and dry place away from direct sunlight and heat. We also apply the FIFO system, meaning first in, first out, to maintain freshness. Expired or damaged products should be discarded. Lastly, dry ingredients such as curry powder, salt, and sugar should be stored away from moisture and sunlight to avoid contamination. Packaging should be checked regularly and contaminated or expired ingredients must be discarded. In conclusion, proper storage helps maintain food quality and reduce food safety risks.
Wash our hands and utensils properly. discard and the storage area cleaned.
I will explain the first step, which is the cooking process. During this step, several ingredients may present different hazards if they are not handled properly. First, for the raw chicken, the main hazard is the survival of harmful bacteria due to undercooking. To control this, the chicken must be cooked thoroughly at a minimum temperature of 75 degrees Celsius. This is considered a critical control point or CCP because proper cooking temperature is essential to kill harmful bacteria such as Salmonella. If the temperature is not achieved, the chicken must continue cooking or be discarded if unsafe. Next, for vegetables such as onion, garlic, ginger, and potato, the hazard is cross contamination or insufficient cooking. The control measure is to cook the vegetable properly and use clean utensils during cooking. This is classified as a control point or a CP because proper handling helps reduce contamination risk. If contamination occurs, the vegetable should be cooking and contaminated until removed. For bottled ingredient like funnel, milk, and cooking oil, the possible hazard is spoilage or contamination during the cooking process. To prevent this, fresh ingredient should be used and proper cooking temperature must be maintained. There is also control point because temperature control helps maintain food safety and quality. If the ingredients are spoiled, they must be discarded and replaced with a new mixture. Lastly, for dried ingredients such as curry powder, salt, and sugar, the hazard is physical contamination from dirty containers or antiseptic. The control method is to use clean spoon and cover containers during cooking. It is considered a control point because good hygiene practice help prevent contamination. If contamination is detected, the ingredient or utensil must be replaced before continuing the cooking process.
For the fifth step, which is serving, the main hazard is bacterial growth due to improper holding temperature after the chicken curry has been cooked. For the chicken, the critical control point or CCP is hot holding. The curry must be maintained at a temperature of 60 degrees Celsius or higher during serving to prevent the growth of harmful bacteria such as Salmonella and Clostridium perfringens. If the temperature falls below the safe limit, the chicken must be reheated to 74 degrees Celsius for at least 15 seconds before serving. For the vegetable, the main hazard is cross-contamination from serving stuff, dirty containers, or abundance. Therefore, the food should be kept covered and maintained above 60 degrees Celsius. If the temperature drops, the entire dish should be reheated within the acceptable time limit. For the coconut milk and cooking oil, proper temperature control and the use of clean serving utensils are important to prevent bacterial growth and spoilage. Any gravy showing signs of spoilage must be discarded immediately. And lastly, food handlers must follow good hygiene practices by wearing clean gloves, aprons, and masks to prevent contamination during the serving process.